us do this example that has, you want to find the derivative of fx equals to 1 over x plus 4, right? So again, to find out the solution of this, so solution, you can do limit delta x tends to 0 or limit h tends to 0, whatever you like is fine, okay? So you can write f prime of x equals to limit, I like h tends to 0. The definition is x plus h minus fx over h, right? Instead of h, you can write delta x. It's just a notation. So what is f of x plus h? That is 1 over x plus h plus 4, right? Because if see, this is f of x. If you want to find f of x plus h, you replace x by x plus h. So minus 1 over x plus 4 divided by 4. But don't forget the limit there, okay? Don't forget the limit. There is still limit h tends to 0. Don't forget that. So it is limit h tends to 0. So how can you combine the two fractions on the top? Okay, so the idea is you multiply those denominators, okay, and then you do the cross multiplication, right? So what I want to do here is limit h tends to 0, or you can make the same denominator. So you have to multiply this by x plus 4 divided by x plus 4. This is x plus h plus 4 divided by x plus h plus 4. You can do that too. So let me combine those two, x plus 4, x plus h plus 4, and then whole divide. So this is also h, not 4. That must be h as well. Okay, and then so I write the product of the denominator of the fraction in the numerator, and then what you do is you multiply this with that, multiply this with that. So you can write 1 times x plus 4 is x plus 4 minus 1 times x plus h plus 4. You write that way, right? So there is a fraction of fractions. There is 1 in the denominator. So what I'm going to do next is I will write only in terms of one single fraction. Limit h tends to 0. So let me simplify the top. X plus 4 minus x minus h minus 4. I am distributing this negative sign. Divide by x plus 4 times x plus h plus 4, right? Times, if you want to write in a single fraction for the fraction of the fraction, what you do is you write the top fraction times the reciprocal of the bottom fraction. That is, you flip the bottom fraction and write down in the product form over 8. You write times 1 over 8. Okay, now let us cancel out the common things there. Okay, what are common? What are the plus and minus? So there is x, there is positive x and negative x, positive 4 and negative 4. Okay, so what is left there is basically limit h tends to 0, right? Negative h over x plus 4 times x plus h plus 4, right? And then times 1 over 8. You see that there is h divided by there is h, and then there is also h. They are in the product form, right? So h divided by h, you can think that way. So what is left is negative 1 divided by, so you are left with since, and also let us plug in the h tends to 0. If you plug in h tends to 0, so this will become 0, right? So what is left is negative 1 divided by x plus 4, and when you replace that h by 0, x plus 4. You see that? So negative 1 over x plus 4 square. So this is the final answer for the derivative of 1 over x plus 4 is x plus 4 square. Okay, now one of the thing is, if you replace h by 0 in the first step, what do you get? You get f of x plus 0. That will be f of x minus f of x. That is 0 divided by 0. That's what you would get, right? But 0 divided by 0 cannot be the answer, so you will have to do this simplification to plug in that limit. And after you plug in that limit here, you don't have to write h tends to 0 anymore. Okay, that's the final answer. Let us do one more example. So solution of this, find the derivative of fx equals to root x minus 3. So what is f prime of x? F prime of x is limit h tends to 0, f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. Okay, so let me plug in those values. Limit h tends to 0. Again, this h can be written as delta x, right? Delta x tends to 0 or delta x tends to 0 here. Delta x tends to 0 and delta x here. So that's the same thing. Okay, so how do you find out f of x plus h? Replace x by x plus h. You get x plus h minus 3 minus root x minus 3 divided by h. If you plug in that limit here, what do you get? X plus 0 is x minus 3 root minus x minus 3. That is 0 because you cancel out that and that if you set that 0 for h, and divide by 0, right? So you don't plug in that 0 for limit now. So you do more simplification. Look at here. Since there is a root, we cannot simplify like what we did here. We were trying to combine the two fractions, but this is in the root form, right? Do you remember what we do if there is a root? You're right, we do the conjugate multiplication. Okay, so let me write what we have here. X plus h minus 3 minus x minus 3 divided by h times the conjugate will look like times, I will write conjugate of the top, right? X plus h minus 3 plus, because there was minus in the middle, I replace by the plus x minus 3. I divide and multiply by the exactly the same thing. So x plus h minus 3 plus x minus 3. Now what we do next is basically we multiply the top. You see that it is like a minus, let me use different color for that. Okay, it is like a minus, it is a minus b, and then it is like a plus b, right? What is the formula for a minus b times a plus b? It should be a square minus b square, right? So how do I write that? It's basically, it is limit h tends to 0, it is a square. It is like a minus b times a plus b will give you a square minus b square. The square of this is how much? It is like square and root will cancel out, so it will be x plus h minus 3. This is a square minus b square is x minus 3. That's what you get. On the bottom there is h times the whole thing, right? So because you multiplied those two and you wrote that, now on the bottom you multiply this with that, so it is x plus h minus 3 root of that and then plus x minus 3. You see that? Now what do you get is, now simplify the numerator. Limit h tends to 0, x plus h minus 3 minus x plus 3, right? Because you distribute that negative sign to both of those, and divide by h, and then root under x plus h minus 3, and then plus root under x minus 3. You see, now you cancel out the common part. What are the common thing there? As not the common, the plus and minus. There is negative 3 and positive 3. There is negative x and positive x. And what is left there then? So what is left there is basically limit h tends to 0, positive h over h, and then root x plus h minus 3, and then plus root x minus 3. And close that. Okay, now again you divide h by h, that is just one left, right? So what is the, now also plug in that h tends to 0. After you cancel out, you can plug in. Before you cancel out, if you plug in, you'll get 0 over 0, but after you cancel out h, then you plug in that 0 here, right? So what is left will be 1 divided by root under x plus h plus root under x, x minus 3, not x plus h, x minus 3, right? So it is root under x minus 3, and then plus root under x minus 3, right? So how many x minus 3 are there in the bottom? There are 2, right? So 1 over 2 root under x minus 3. Again, you don't have to write limit anymore because there is no more x. You plugged in x, there is no more h. You plugged in h equals to 0 here already, so there is no more h, so you don't need to write the limit. Okay, so that is the final answer.